questions I'm about to present to you, I shared with our Built to Last clients a few weeks ago, and I thought they were too good not to share with you too. So in this episode of the Kirk Miller Podcast, the title of the session is 10 Great Questions to Smash This Year. Questions for me are absolutely pivotal in creating the outcomes that you want. Great coaching is great questions. And if you were to probably evaluate when you've made great decisions, whether it's in your business, your personal life, or even to do with your health and fitness goals, in the past, you probably ask yourself better questions. Because when you ask yourself a better question, it redirects your focus onto what you actually want. And I think across a calendar year, it's so easy to forget the key questions that have created success and consistency in the first place. So the questions I'm going to take you through today, I've said to our clients, look at these, or at least your favorite 1 to 3, every single morning as an absolute minimum, because it's going to redirect your focus and remind you what you need to do, especially when it comes to building and maintaining a fantastic body across the year, all right? So I'm going to go through 10 questions. It's going to be one of the shortest episodes I've presented. There's no fluff, there's no bullshit. I just want to share with you the 10 questions. So please have a pen and paper ready, or if you are in a car or traveling listening to this, I really urge you maybe come back to this, write them down, and pick your favorite 1 to 3 questions, if not all of them, okay? Number 1, what would my best future self and dream identity say in this situation? That sounds a little bit deep, but ultimately, everything you are doing this year in your business, with your family, and with your body, your health and fitness, is because you are trying to expand your identity. You're trying to evolve how you see yourself. Because the moment we stand still with expanding identity, it's the moment we experience discomfort because we're not growing. So that question is, what would my best future self and dream identity say in this situation, is so powerful. What that does, it takes you forward to then look back at your current self, and you're far more likely to make a decision that's more aligned to the outcome you want if you actually fast forward where you want to be, maybe in a few months or in the future, and then make a better decision in the current moment. So that's a really, really powerful question. What would my best future self and dream identity say in this situation? Okay. Number 2, who do I need to be today? Who do I need to be today? I look myself in the mirror every single morning, or the center of my vision board. Who do I need to be today? Because when you remind yourself who you need to be, you're more likely to implement the actions, the habits, and the behavior aligned to the person you need to be today, okay? Number 3, who needs me on my A game today? When I did this exercise with my clients, this was one of the most popular questions. When I had some takeaways at the end, I said, look, what are your favorite questions and why? And who needs me to be on my A game was one of the most consistent questions people are going to ask themselves, because they want to remind themselves every single morning and across their day, who needs me at my absolute best? Who needs me on my A game? Is it my partner? Is it my children? Is it my colleagues? Is it my team, my friends? But that's a really, really powerful question. Who needs me on my A game today? It will keep you sharp, keep you focused. Number 4, at the end of this year, will I regret or be proud of the action I'm about to make? So you are going to have some moments in your year or every single week. At some point, you have the decision of you're either going to make a proactive decision or a reactive decision. Okay, so if you ask yourself that question, will I regret or be proud of this action I'm about to make at the end of this year? You're going to forward think that vision, that target of where you want to be, and you're either going to regret that decision you're about to make, or you're going to be proud. So if you were to maybe, say if you evaluated your last year, I'm pretty sure you evaluated what went well and why, what didn't go well and why, what decisions do I regret, or maybe I wish I made less of them, okay? And I'm pretty sure the success of your year, to do with your profession, to do with your body, whatever it may be, is going to be based on your decisions. But in relation to health, fitness, and body, ask yourself that question, okay? Number 5, these all work in together, as I said to my clients, but some of the language within the given question might resonate with you more than others. That's why some of the questions are very similar, but they're just a different way of wording it and presenting it, okay? Number 5 is this. Does the decision I'm about to make contradict or complement my goals? Let me say that properly. Does the decision I'm about to make contradict or complement my goals, values, and the person I'm trying to become? Everything we do from a decision-making process is to change how we see ourselves, influence what we can give to others, and to chase a feeling. Everything we do is to chase a feeling or to change how we see ourselves or what we'd like to provide for others, okay? And they're going to be aligned or not to your values. They're going to be aligned or not to your goals, and they're going to be aligned or not to the person you're trying to become. So by asking yourself that question, does this decision I'm about to make contradict or complement my goals, values, and the person I'm trying to become? You're far more likely to make a decision that is aligned to your goals, your values, and that person you want to become as the year goes on and at the end of the year again, okay? So really, really powerful question. Number 6, I heard this simple question, which is only 3 words, off one of my great friends, Richard Gazecki. He spoke at our last Book to Last event. The title of his talk was this question: does it matter? And he explained it beautifully. He said that you're going to have many weeks, or if you break it down even more granular, many sessions where you've got to dig deep. You've got to push yourself to lift more. You've got to test yourself mentally to push through that, that aerobic threshold. And you're going to have a point within that session where that weak voice inside your head is going to try and get you to tap out and take the easy route out. It's in that moment, he said, ask yourself, does it matter? And his response was, of course it fucking does. Everything matters. Everything matters. And guess what? When there's no one around, when you're in your session, or you're going for that walk, or you're going for that cardio session, or maybe you're about to decide whether or not you're going to eat a certain food, in that moment, ask yourself, does it matter what I'm about to do? And 99% of the time, it does. Okay, so again, all these come down to obviously decision-making process, but remember, it's the question that influences your state, which influences and drives decision. So ask yourself, does it matter the next time you want to cut corners in your session? You want to take the easy way out of that cardio session? You want to overeat shit? Okay, simple but powerful question. Number 7, this is more related to food, which I definitely wanted to get a food-related question in, especially to my clients who obviously are paying us to improve how they manage food. So I think this question will really, really help you, if that is your biggest challenge right now. Is the food I plan to eat today helping or sabotaging the health, energy, and body I wish to live with? Because if you want a great body, you want to optimize health, and you want to live with energy, there are inputs that help create that. But if you're not asking yourself a powerful question, if you're trying to gain more consistency with your food, then you're going to rely on willpower, and old habits will creep in. Old standards will 100% set in if you don't ask yourself a powerful question. So that question again is the food I plan to eat today helping or sabotaging the health, energy, and body I wish to live with? Okay? That question, if you struggle with your food, look at that every single day. And to be more granular than that, remind yourself of that question in the morning, at lunch, and in the evening. And again, you're more likely to make better decisions with your food if you really do value health, energy, and a fantastic body. Number 8, this is like a personal built to last ethos that we've sort of set a challenge to our clients this year, and it's we've got an unbelievable community full of absolute winners, people who want to be successful, they want to be wealthy, they want to be good parents, good partners, good role models, and they want a fantastic body. A great question to ask yourself, and again, maybe you can change the last word of this question is, am I operating like a savage? So many people we look up to on this earth from a sporting perspective, personal development perspective, business perspective, are fucking savages. Why have they got so many followers? Millions and millions of people who love what they do. They call them inspiring, call them motivating. They are absolutely relentless, these individuals. You know, people like The Rock, Tony Robbins, your Ronaldos, your Messis. They're absolute savages with their standards. All right? And it might not be savage that resonates with you. Could be an operator, could be a machine, but maybe change the last word of that. But for me, if I'm ever feeling like, again, dropping standards, am I operating like a savage? And it's yes or no. There's no in between. If you want to be a savage, you want to be a machine, you want to be an absolute operator, okay, be in the 5%. Ask yourself a question that resonates with that. Number 9. What would someone 10 times leaner, healthier, and in great shape do, choose, or say in this situation? Because if someone you look up to is significantly leaner, healthier, and in great shape, that's as a byproduct of the decisions they make, how they think, okay, how the things they say to themselves, and their choices. Right? So that question puts you in the mind of someone who is maybe a notch up at you at the minute when it comes to how lean they are, how much healthy they are, how much muscle they have, how much strength they have. Okay? But ask yourself that question. What would someone 10 times leaner, healthier, and in great shape do, choose, or say in this situation? Then copy the answer to that question if you want to get closer to where they want to be and how they look. And number 10, the last one. I said this would be sharp, this episode. This is maybe one of the most simple but cutthroat. If you ever feel like standards are slipping, you feel like you're not where you want to be, motivation dips, which is going to happen. Motivation is overrated. All right, it's discipline and falling in love with the boring stuff that's going to carry you through across the year. But a great question, and this is my legendary friend who has spoke at one of our events, and he, conducts mindset talks within our community now, and just a phenomenal human being who the world needs to know more about. David Smith, MBE, absolute savage of a man. I remember when he did one of his talks for our community, one of the things I said to him, I said, David, if there was just one question you could ask yourself when you don't want to get a session in, you don't want to do that breathing, that sleeping, that meditation, and you want to eat shit. Basically, you're tempted to make a decision that contradicts the outcome you want. What's your question? He said, why did I start? So if you ever find yourself stuck this year, right, that for me is one of the questions you should probably have in your top 3. Why did I start? Because usually when you start your journey towards a professional goal, a physical goal, you had a strong motive for action, you're fully aware of the consequences if you don't reach that target or reach that goal, and you're fully aware of the deeper meaning and the benefits and the quality of your life if you achieve that goal. But often when you achieve these big milestones, especially for a lot of our clients, for example, a lot of high performers and business leaders, you are fully aware of why did you start when you have a curveball in pursuit of that great business or that great financial target, for example. So ask yourself that question, especially when it comes to your health, fitness, and body. Why did I start? Then do the actions that are aligned to the motivation of why you started in the first place. And then I just wanted to finish with, even though I've sort of seeded this in already, is some daily reminder tips. So you've got 10 questions there. 10 questions. I urge, because you're not going to remember all 10, unless you want to have them written down somewhere in your notes and you just look at them every morning. You need to set yourself reminders, because a lot of people forget about the questions they need to ask themselves. They don't schedule the questions they need to ask themselves. So one thing I strongly urge you to do, okay, to remind yourself of these empowering questions, set alarm reminders on your phone 3 times per day. One in the morning, maybe when you first get up, at lunch, maybe before you're about to eat, and maybe at the end of a day when your willpower is testing you, especially when it comes to food that maybe you're thinking or tempted to eat. All right? But 3 times per day, have your 1 to 3 power questions that you know when you look at that question, you are more consistent and, you make better decisions. Or, as an absolute minimum, if you don't do it 3 times a day, read your 3 power questions every single morning. Pick 3 empowering questions that you know when you look at those 3 questions, they get you in a state of excitement. They get you aligned and focused on the person you're trying to be that day and the outcomes and the goals you want, especially with your health, fitness, and body, okay? Because health and body, that's the asset that drives everything, remember, all right? And the quote I'm going to finish on is a guy from Ken Coleman. Good questions inform, great questions transform. Obviously it rhymes, so it's got a nice little ring to it, but good questions inform, great questions transform. And I think there is nothing more poignant, and that probably sums up even clearer and more sharply, like I said at the start. Ask yourself a better question, you'll have better answers. And if you create better answers, actions and behaviors, then you're going to have a better quality of life, you're going to be successful, and you'll certainly build a better body. So love to hear your biggest takeaways. Love to hear, if you drop me a direct message as well, what your biggest sort of 3 questions were. And I'll see you next time.